Okay, what's up, YouTube? This is PNG News Media coming back to you with another interview. Today, I have a pretty special interview. I'm interviewing a gentleman by the name of Pastor 16. He's not in the United States. He's coming all the way live from Mexico. So he's going to talk about his experience within the Texas prison system. Okay, so Pastor, so kind of get the audience a little bit of a background about who you are, where you come from.
Okay, well, first of all, salute to you, PNG Studios. Appreciate this interview, and also salute to all your subscribers. Yeah, I live in Mexico. I was born here, and I was brought up to the United States as an immigrant when as a youngster, right? And I lived all my life in Texas, in Dallas, Texas, and then I got deported. I started getting, my parents got deported when I was like 13, and that's later on, that's when I came back to Mexico.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been here since 2008. And I've just been, I got locked up in Texas prison around 2011. Yeah, I was there till 2013. And then, yeah.
So you did about 2 years in the Texas prison system?
Yeah, that's right. 2 years, and then I did 6. Yeah.
Okay. So kind of tell me, how does Texas work? I mean, like, for example, how do the inmates group themselves? Is it by race? Is it by gang? Is it by city, or what?
Yeah, when I talk about on my channel, sometimes I say that Texas has a little bit of the East Coast politics mixed with the West Coast politics, because they do have lone wolves, but they are also very racial segregated as well, like in Cali. That's right.
So I mean, so in Texas prison, I mean, will you see like a black and a Hispanic, or a black and a white sit at the same table doing the chow hall, or is none of that going on?
The thing about the chow hall in Texas is that they started doing this thing where they don't let people sit wherever they want anymore. They have to fall down the line. So as you go in for your plate, you gotta sit next to the person that was next to you in line. So you can, yes, you will see Mexicans sitting with blacks and blacks with whites and others, because that's how it is in the chow hall. But people, they still try to like stick with the race while they're going to chow on the line. That way you could have like your friends on the same table. But sometimes you won't get your friends on the same table. You're gonna have other people. You're gonna be eating next to other people that you don't know or that you're not friends with.
All right. Now, say if I knew you from the street, like me and you was both in Texas, then we come to prison, and I knew you from the street.
Yeah.
Could me and you be cellies, or something like that be unallowed because of the racial politics?
Yeah, we could be cellies. Yeah, they have mixed races as cellies. They sometimes when you're in a gang tank, they might try to put you with the same race or same gang. But overall, they have different races in the same cell.
Okay, all right. So in other words, Texas is a lot less.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not as racially segregated as somewhere like California, then.
Yeah, it is, because like sometimes they do that on some gang units. They will try to put the officers. They will try, or the administration or whatever, the prison administration. They will try to put same race in the same cells, or same gangs in the same cells. Sometimes in gang units, yeah.
All right. Now I want to ask you. Okay, can you define for us what does actually Paisa mean? I mean, are Paisas a gang by themselves, or is it just like a collective of Mexicans from Mexico who aren't affiliated? Or explain that whole thing to me.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to break it down as the most that I can. Paisa is just a word that comes from the word paisano, which mean that's how people refer to each other when they're from the same country. If you and me, if you were born in Mexico and I'm from Mexico, but you and me we're in a different country, like the United States, you will be my paisano. You're like my hometown.
Okay.
You're
All
from our
right.
same home country. You know, like kind of like my homie, my homeboy from the same home. We're both from Mexico, so where you're my paisano, you're my paisa. Just now that I guess the paisas are getting more organized and they're starting to make the word have a meaning. Like each letter,
Mm-hmm.
it stands for a whole word in Spanish acronym.
Mm-hmm.
Stands for Pura Alianza Integra Soldado Activo. That is pure alliance of active soldiers.
Okay.
So that's what now they're starting to say that it means, and they're starting to
Okay.
use the number 16. They're starting to get more organized and higher security units, and they're
Mm-hmm.
bringing that to other units as well.
Okay. So, so in other words, so they're starting to function more like the traditional gangs are then, as opposed to when they first started, where it was just like a brotherhood thing. It's really turned into a functional organization now.
Yeah, the only difference is that I tell people on my channel as well, Paisa's always gonna be like a Tango organization where they're not gonna be like the Texas Syndicate, the Barrio Azteca,
Okay.
the Mexican mafia where you have to report to somebody when once you come out and you have a
Mm-hmm.
sergeant and ranks. They're like a blood in, blood out organization, and Paisas they're always gonna be just like a loose, I call it a blast in, blast out organization because
Okay.
that's what they started saying in Texas.
Okay.
Because yeah, in Texas you have the Tango Blast. That's a prison organization. It's like a prison gang
Mm-hmm.
that was made in Texas, right? And it started out. They say it was like a group of Hispanics in from Houston, Texas, from the city of Houston, and they started getting together in groups against the other prison gangs that were traditionally dominant, like the Mexican mafia, the Texas Syndicate. They were the ones that made the rules for the Hispanics, and the
Mm-hmm.
Hispanics didn't like that. The new youngsters that were coming in, a lot of them, when the hip hop culture became real big, you had a lot of Hispanics speaking that hip hop slang, and a lot of them were
Mm-hmm.
coming to the penitentiary, and they didn't like that they had to follow rules from other prison gangs, so they started this thing called Tango, and Tango stands. It's supposed to. It can stand for the letter T.
Mm-hmm.
Can either stand for together, towns, or Texas, and then it's together against negative gang organizations. Or people also say it's towns against notorious gang organizations.
Okay. Okay. And like now,
Yeah.
now I also heard Tango branches like different branches, like Houston and Tango Oral Homes. Explain how that works.
Okay, yeah. Well, the group Tango started getting real big, and four cities made an alliance. This is the city of Houston, the city of Austin, Texas, and then the Metroplex, Dallas Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Those four towns got together, and they called it the Horsemen Alliance.
Okay.
And those are the first. Those are the Tango Blast. They added another word to it. It's the blast. It's supposed to stand for supposedly um it says Tango Blast, be loyal, always stay true.
Okay.
And then but other cities also started make other towns started also grouping and trying to join the Tango movement, but they they did it from their own city like San Anto does. They call it the Orejones, Tango
Mm-hmm.
Orejon. Oreja means ear. So I heard that they say they call them that because San Antonio supposedly is located in the ear of Texas.
Oh, okay. It's interesting. All right. Now, now I understand, like, okay, so Texas, I know they used to have like older gangs, like you said, like you mentioned, the Texas Mexican Mafia, the Texas Syndicate.
That's right.
Now, what's going on between those like older groups and younger groups? Is there conflict, or do they kind of work together, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, there's conflicts in prisons, but in the free world, there's not supposed to be, because that's, a lot of them also started the same way for like trying to help out their own people. The Mexican mafia in California, for example, trying to help the Southern Mexicans, they got together. They all started out the same way. It's just that they started getting a lot of members, and they started getting a whole bunch of rules,
Mhm.
and that's how they started this movement. They called it the Blood In, Blood Out organizations, where they have to join and they have to be for life. And Tango's not like that. Tango, they made it so that once you come out, you could either go back to your own family life, work, and forget about your past in the prison. You don't have to report to nobody. You don't even have to be active and say you were a Tango or even speak on it. It's
Mhm.
best to not speak on it. Like, you're not even supposed to speak on nothing. So that way you can do your own thing as well. Like, if you want to, if you feel like you have heart for what you went through or whatever, and everybody that you knew and everybody that you met, once you come out, you can still try to look for those people, or your homeboys from your hometown, your paisas or whatever, and do get together to try to do and form something positive, out here
Mhm.
on the streets as well. And
Mhm.
like the Texas Syndicate, I also heard they were formed by, I seen on also on documentaries on YouTube that they got together in California, and there were Hispanics from Texas trying to help each other out, getting together.
Mhm.
But now they're like this big old fama. They call it in Spanish. We call them famas.
Mhm.
That's how we differentiate ourselves from them. That's how we separate ourselves from them. We call each other tangos, and we call them famas. We just refer to them as famas because that's like short word for like gang families, old school families from prison, like the Texas Syndicate, Mexican Mafia, the PRMs, and
Okay.
yeah, Barrio Azteca.
All right. All right. So, so out of all the young groups, like now, who are some of the younger gangs? So you got Tango Blast. Who are also some of the other young groups represented in Texas prisons?
The ones you'll see is PRMs. You also got Texas Chicano Brothers, the TCBs,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard those they divide into two TCBs. The Tri City Bombers.
Mm-hmm.
They're both from the Valley. They both got formed in the Valley, and the Valley of Texas is like in the southern part. So they're going to war with each other. The Texas Chicano Brothers and the Tri City Bombers. They're green light with each other, and you got the PRMs that stands for in Spanish Partido Revolucionario Mexicano,
Mm-hmm.
Mexican Revolutionary Party, but
Okay.
people say it stands for PRM, Pure Race of Mexican Mafia. In Texas, we call them Merecidos, the M. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we call we call them Cuernos, the Texas Syndicate. You'll see all those old school gangs, and then all the tangos, which is the Tango Rejon, the West Texas, the Westels from West Texas Tango. West Texas is all from Amarillo, up in Amarillo, all the way down to like Midland, Odessa, Lubbock. Yeah, and then you got from El Paso, EPT, the 915 Chuco Tangos. They are from El Paso, and then you got some from Corpus Christi, a new tango that's forming over there. They call them the Charcos, something like that. I don't know what other nicknames they might have. Also, the Tango Blast, the Tango Mexicles, which is the Paisas. Paisas
Mm-hmm.
have a tango in Texas. Paisas, they are a tango organization in Texas.
Okay. Okay.
They're also a tango sensation everywhere. It's just that people don't use the word tango in California or in the feds. Matter of fact, when you go to the feds and you try to say you're a tango mexicle to the paisas, they'll
Mhm.
be like, "No, we don't do that here," and they'll try to. You either have to like forget about that or get with the program that they got going on. The paisas
Okay.
in federal
Yeah,
prison.
because I heard,
Yeah,
yeah, I heard
California.
something like that. Like I heard one guy was saying how when he was in federal prison, he saw the Pisces, they ran the tangos off the yard. I mean, why aren't the Pisces accepting the tangos? What's the issue?
It's just mostly the Mexican Americans and the Mexicans not getting along
Okay.
because in Texas they get along just fine. They do the same tango thing, like they're trying to just do the prison thing and then come out and you could go back to your normal life. It's just that in the federal prisons, they have a lot of the old school politics going on too.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, people
So
know that. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So so now, who would you now? Also, you mentioned a lot of Mexican gangs. Are there other ethnic groups represented in Texas? Like, are there any black gangs or white groups in Texas
Like
as well?
you got the Aryan Brotherhoods from Texas, and you got you'll see a lot of Peckerwoods. They
Okay.
call them yeah the woods in Texas from the on the white side, on the white race, and you'll have Aryan Circle as well.
Hmm.
And on the blacks you'll have the GDs, but mostly Crips and Bloods.
Okay. Okay. All
And
right.
each yeah they'll have different yeah.
Okay. So, in the 2 years that you were inside, like, how violent a place would you say that Texas prison is? I mean, I know you can't speak on all the prisons, but just the ones that you've been to, was there a lot of conflict and race riots or just riots, gang riots, or anything like that?
Yeah, there was. I was in this high security unit, which is like a Pelican Bay level, and there was a lot of conflicts all the time because they have medium custody there. They have high security, riots, fights every day. But I
Mm-hmm.
also been on lower levels, like transfer units, and but in transfer units in Texas, you only get fed twice a day on the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's also messed up about Texas. The food is also real bad in prison, like the inmates they'll steal the food so they'll sell it back in the cell back in the dorm or in the wings or whatever, and then you'll have to go to chow hall and eat the oatmeal with no sugar. The milk is just like water painted white, and
Mm-hmm.
then you'll get this casserole with meat, but supposedly it's meat but it's mostly just like juice, and then all the meat is gone because the inmates then stole it. But
Okay.
yeah, sometimes they might change the kitchen captains, and if the captain is good, he'll try to get the portion served good. But that's all you're gonna get fed in Texas. The same thing, the casseroles in the afternoon, and then
Mm-hmm.
in the mornings it's always pancakes with no syrup though. The first time I heard about pancakes, I thought, man, no, pancakes is good, right? But that's every day though for like 2 years. Every
Okay.
day the same breakfast with just like 1 spoon of syrup, 1 medium spoon of syrup. But
Okay. Okay.
yeah, you have to, and in the high security units, and actually in no prison in Texas, they don't have air conditioning. When it's winter time, they do have like supposedly hot air, but it doesn't work. And then in the summertime, they don't have no air conditioning. It feels like you're in like in the oven in the microwave inside the cell. It's real hot. It, you have to have you and your celly both have to have a fan so that you can live just if you so that you can be comfortable in the cell, because otherwise if you only have one fan, if you bought the fan, you're gonna put the fan towards you, and your celly's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like yeah real hot because I did my 2 years with no visits, no commissary, and I didn't have a fan, so my celly he bought a fan, but I remember I was real hot. because at first we didn't have no fans, and then you can't even sleep at night because it's so hot. So you throw water at yourself from the sink, the little sink, and then you're still hot. I remember Marcelli, he used to throw water on the floor, and then he used to like lay on the floor and roll over, he's trying to get fresh, but you still be real hot in Texas because during the daytime, all the heat from the sun will penetrate the cell real nice. So at night, it's gonna be like real hot. You need two fans. And yeah, the danger level. I was in a high security prison, but that wasn't the maximum security. You have other units where they have nothing but it's a gang unit, and those stay active. Like they stay in riots. You can't even. They come out to the day room, and then whenever they come out, they start going at it with each other. You have a lot of race wars in those prisons too in Texas, and then they're always on lockdown.
All right. Now we see these riots. Now, so what's going on with the riots? Like I said, is it the younger gangs trying to take over the older gangs, or is it just over drugs? What's behind most of the riots?
Yeah, all of that. You'll have a lot of riots. Also, they'll have like small riots against the officers a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, because the officers, they're also like a gang in themselves. They'll get together against the inmates to protect themselves. And then a lot of the small riots will be against them, against the system. But every once in a while, you're gonna have the most riots happen when two rival gangs are together. When they put two rival gangs together, like for example, if they put Paisas with Barrio Azteca. But right now, in a lot of for example, the prison where I was at, there was like a not a truce with the Barrio Azteca, but we let this guy walk in the prison. He was a Barrio Azteca. We didn't bother him. He didn't bother us. He was just a cool dude. He was only one in the whole prison, and then we let him walk. But for example, I know that Crips and Bloods, they made a truce, so they're good. But if they put like two TCBs or Tango Blast with the Texas Syndicate, that's gonna be a riot. They're gonna green light. Tango Blast, they won't let no Texas Syndicate walk in any prison. So if you're a Texas, that's what the most riots are about.
All right.
Or small conflicts and fights.
Okay. Now in Texas system, is there such thing as protective custody or SNY?
No, they don't have no SNY yards like I seen on the YouTube. They have on California. They don't have that yet. There really is no PC, because if you try to get protective custody, eventually you're gonna end up back in general population. Like they say, people, SPM for example, he's a famous rapper from Texas, right? I've heard that he's on PC, but you have to have money. Like being in PC is chilling. You have your own cell, like if you had your own room, but it costs to be there. You have to put in, I guess, paperwork. You have to prove that you cannot be with other inmates and other convicts. They do have protective custody though. If you tell the officers, hey man, I fear for my life or whatever, they might get you out. There is occasions and times where they won't help you out, like especially if you're being you're being an enemy to them, very rude, disrespectful to all the officers and stuff like that. And then you all of a sudden you fear for your life, and then they're gonna be like, nah. They'll probably even snitch on you with your gang, and they'll try to tell them that you're trying to PC, you're trying to catch out. So they do have PC, but they'll lock you up. You'll be like in seg, like in the hole in segregation, and at seg they call it, where you'll be locked down 24 hours, and then you won't be able to come out until a certain time passes. But like I said, you're always gonna end up in general population. Like eventually they're gonna forget about you fearing for your life and you being at risk, eventually somebody's gonna put you back in general population, and then you'll really be in trouble if they find out that you went PC.
Okay. Okay. So there is a stigma attached to those who became PCs. Like they say in California, once you go PC, you're no good. Then
Yeah.
kind of the same thing.
Unfortunately, yeah, there is that right in Texas. Even though a
Okay.
lot of people they are officers and they made a mistake. For example, I met this guy. He was a cop in the free world. He accidentally killed his wife with a gun. They were playing around with the guns like they used to play with the guns every night before going to sleep. And then one time, there was a bullet inside the gun, so he accidentally shot his wife and killed her. So he went PC. I met him. We met him because we were in the bus ride. On the bus rides, on the chains, they'll put you with anybody with PC, rival gangs, different. You'll be shackled to somebody that you don't know. So we met that. He was an officer, and he deserved to be in PC. You know, 'cause he didn't. I guess he didn't deserve to be there. It was an accident, and
Mhm.
he was just fearing for his life. But yeah, you'll see people they won't like you in Texas in general population if you come from PC or they've heard that you've been in PC before and
Okay.
protective custody.
Okay.
There
Okay.
is that stigma as well too. Yeah, like in other states.
Okay. Now I want to shift gears here. So you mentioned earlier at the beginning that you're currently like you got deported back to Mexico. So now what's the situation in Mexico? Because I've heard there's a lot of like Serranos and 18th Street, and MS-13 in Mexico. Is that true?
Well, yeah, they have all them Hispanic gangs that were formed in California in the
Mm-hmm.
1960s or whatever. They have them all over the streets here. They'll have small cliques, especially that Southside 13.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch here in my city where I'm from and everywhere. You have also 18th Street. You'll even have some MS-13 sometimes
Mm-hmm.
out here in the streets. But
Okay.
in prison they don't run. Well, the cartels are what run the prisons here.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what cartel is running the area, or which two cartels are dividing power, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how in prison that's how you'll know who you with and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, with those different gangs from California and Texas being in Mexico, has that made like more violence in the streets? I mean, are they enemies on the streets, or do they get along? Or
No, they get along. I mean, all the violence that's going on in prison, I mean, in Mexico, I guess is mostly drugs, territory,
okay,
cartel, because it's not like in the United States where it's like a free range where anybody could sell drugs, anybody could buy a gun, sell a gun.
mm-hmm.
Over here, it's like territory. You can't do that.
Okay,
I mean, you can do that, but there's gonna be somebody that's gonna tax you. That's gonna try to tax you. There's gonna be a whole group, organization, a big organization that's gonna come at you.
okay, okay.
Besides the
All
law
right.
as well, the government.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, so I want to kind of start wrapping things up. We got a little bit of time left. So, can you tell us? So, what's next with you? I mean, what kind of plans do you have? Do you plan on coming back to the U.S.? What type of moves you try in Mexico? 'Cause I see your YouTube channel is getting bigger and bigger every day. So, what's next for you?
Well, yeah, I'll probably try to come back to the States one day if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, I'm deported. I signed this paper, but I know I can fight my case
Mm-hmm.
because I was born in Mexico, and all the small charges that I got, it was when I was a juvenile, and also my parents had got locked up first and deported. So I'm trying to see if I could fight a lawyer or fight my case if so that one day I could come back, because I was practically raised in the States in Dallas, Texas,
Right.
and
Okay.
that's why I speak fluent English, and all of my childhood friends they're over there in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to my homeboy Rigo and my homeboy Luis, my homeboy Ricky. They're my childhood friends from Texas. They're over there, and over here I'm in Mexico. But I've been here for quite some time too, so I'm getting used to this. But eventually, I would like to receive a pardon from either a mayor or government officials. You know, try to start my own business down here so that I could have some background and something that I can show for that I deserve to be pardoned and go back to the States.
Okay. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. You know, so I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you, you know, for taking time out your busy day to come on, you know, on my platform and interview. You know, it was really a pleasure to interview you. Now, I watched a lot of your videos. And, you know, I always want to talk to you. So this is really a real treat for me today. So, so with
Thank
that
you.
closing, anything you'd like to say, just in closing, I want to encourage everybody. You know, why don't you shout out your your social medias where people can connect with you at?
Yeah. Thank you as well, PNG. I see you on my comments, and I also wanted to get this interview done
Mm-hmm.
already. Yeah, I really appreciate you on the feedback and everything. And I want to shout out just people want to subscribe is www.youtube.com/Paisa16, and but you can find me as Paisa on Facebook as well, Paisa16, Paisa KDT, and KDT because of that's one of my nicknames, KDT.
Okay.
So that's you'll find me on Facebook and on Instagram as Paisa16 lower dash prison channel.
Okay.
That's how you find me on Instagram. And yeah, I really want to appreciate you, PNG Studios. Thank you very much as well for giving me a chance to be on your platform as well. And that way I can have your viewers watch my videos and some of my viewers as well come to your channel and subscribe and stuff.
Most definitely, you're very welcome. Like I said, feel free to put this up on your page. Feel free to put this video on your page as well. So everybody run out on YouTube, go hit up Paisa16, like and subscribe this video. He has a really lot of good content. So all right, so this has been another segment of PNG News Media. I'll be back at you soon. Thanks everybody.